Thank you for attending. We'll give it just a few more minutes. I know we've got our director of the graduate programs that will be joining here in just a minute. So we look forward to getting started in just a second. We'll give it about one more minute and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you again for everybody attending and thanks for your patience. All right, well, it's about 12:05, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kim Kirby, and I serve as the Director of Graduate Student Services here in the College of Business at Appalachian State University. And we're just going to share a little bit of information with you about our MS and Applied Data Analytics program here in the Walker College of Business. As you are probably aware, just from some of your own research, this is a new program. It started in spring of 2017, so we're just kind of starting to pilot it, and it's been a really neat adventure so far, and it's been wonderful working with the students who are currently in our program, and we certainly hope to work with you in the future as well. But at this point, I've got a little bit of a slideshow here that I just wanted to give you some information and share a little bit about. We'll kind of talk about some of the application requirements for the program. We'll talk about prerequisites, and we'll talk about kind of some overall general program information too. So currently I have you all unmuted, but I sent out some information yesterday in relation to how you can ask a question via a chat box. So feel free to take a look at that. And if you just want to hold your questions till the end, then I'll be glad to answer any that you might have, and we certainly look forward to hearing what you might be interested in learning. So at this point, I'm going to share my screen with you and give you a little bit of information about, let's see. So at this point, you should be able, I think you should be able to see my screen at this point. If you can't, somebody please feel free to shoot me a chat box and let me know, but I'm hoping that it works now. Let's see. So just to give you a little bit of background as far as how the MS and Applied Data Analytics program works. So you're looking at we have a couple graduate program offerings that are available. So we have our one year or part-time MS and Applied Data Analytics master's degree. This can be done either full-time, 1 year, or part-time in 2 years. And we also offer a business analytics graduate certificate. So that's really nice because it allows you to maybe be able to have some flexibility and do 15 hours of some coursework in business analytics rather than a full 36-hour program, as the Master of Science is a 36-hour program. So, so kind of why to get your MS in Applied Data Analytics. We've done some thorough research in the process of developing this degree. And as you are aware, more than likely you're aware that analytics is trending. It is extremely important right now. We are getting calls on a regular basis from employers who are just interested in having students with knowledge and experience in data analytics. We have done plenty of studies and focus groups, and the need has just grown tremendously for knowledge in data analytics. Companies are chomping at the bit for it. So you can see here just from some statistics that we have provided that there really is, their students are more passionate about analytics, employers, they're, really have a need for it. It's growing tremendously. And you can see here the fact that I thought was really neat, a 24% increase in demand for jobs with data analytics skills over the next 8 years. So you can see that it is truly a growing field. And so we want to recognize the need for that, as a business program in a graduate degree. And so we want to make sure that we, utilize that. And so we now offer the MS in Applied Data Analytics program. The nice thing about the MS and Applied Data Analytics side is it's going to be a lot of the applied business part. A lot of students ask me, what's the difference between this and a master's in computer science necessarily? And, for us, computer science might be where you're doing a lot of the back end core programming type of work. And then this program is going to give you a lot of the applied business part of data analytics. So being able to take tons and tons of data and articulate it and develop solutions out of it so that you might be able to have the conversation where you could talk to the technical person who might be doing the back end work and then also present the results of that data analysis to the CEO of the company. And so that's why this program is so important. So as far as some advantages, so, we thought that this was really neat. So less than 8% of the world's population has a master's degree. So that's pretty incredible for, for any student that is pursuing this. It's pretty amazing to be within that 8% of the world's population pursuing that. So just to give you some tidbits on how this works, we do offer rolling admissions. So students can start either in May, August, or January. So we basically, we have fall admission, spring admission, and summer admission, which is nice. A lot of programs, they have a fall cohort. And so if you miss the fall, you have to wait till the following fall. But our program is nice because it gives you some flexibility and allows you to kind of choose, your path accordingly. We are open to any major. You do not have to be a business major to apply to this program. There may be some prerequisites. If you are not a business major, for instance, that you might have to take. And if so, that is certainly okay. We do, for instance, for the MS in Applied Data Analytics, as well as the Business Analytics Certificate, we do offer, there is going to be an economics and a statistics prerequisite. So if you don't have that, we require a B- or higher if you do in order to fulfill the prerequisite. However, if you don't have that, we do offer an online accelerated option, which is really nice because it still allows you to do that in a more flexible environment, kind of self-paced. And so what that would look like, that's through a third-party software company. And so you can do that. And all prerequisites are required to be complete, 1, before you take the graduate level class, and 2, by the end of your first semester. And so to kind of get started, I always have students send me an email providing me a copy of their resume and then unofficial transcripts from all institutions attended, so that what I can do is I can review their transcripts and determine what, if any, prerequisites might be needed. And like I said, the nice thing about it is you don't have to have these complete necessarily before you join the program, although we certainly encourage that. You do have that first semester to be able to complete those. And so, of course, there may be, if you decide to pursue maybe a specific concentration, maybe you might be interested in the supply chain concentration or the interdisciplinary analytics concentration, and there might be a data mining class that you really want to take and you're really passionate about. They might have their own specific prerequisites. Thankfully, we have our own wonderful academic advisor, so she does a really good job, and she can let you know once you're kind of meeting with her and planning out your program of study if certain courses would have prerequisites in addition to the economics and statistics. One thing I do want to note is we do actually require, because students do take statistics in their very first semester, we do really try to encourage them to have that complete prior to starting. So another cool piece about our program, in addition to some of the things I just mentioned, is we have our own dedicated career services. So we have a person on staff, and his job is to really help you customize your career path. His job is to help you find a job upon graduation. He does a great job. He also teaches the executive skills course, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But you know, he'll work with you on your career path. He'll talk to you about your goals. He'll look at your resume. He'll look at some of the you know, some of your career goals. You do some mock interviews. So really good career services that we offer to kind of help you meet those needs and to discuss where you want to go. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we also have dedicated individual advising. And that's a phenomenal resource. You know, a lot of programs, you know, might have one person that kind of does it all. They wear the hat of the director, the advisor, the career services. And that's a wonderful thing about our program, is that we have, you know, these dedicated, you know, individuals on our team to help you. And so you would just work with our academic advisor, and she would plan out your program of study from the day you start to the day you finish, so that you know exactly what you would be taking. And to ensure that you hit that target graduation deadline. So those are some really neat things about our program, and some really cool advantages. So as far as application deadlines and requirements, so like I said, we do have rolling admission. So, you know, students can apply for fall, spring, or summer. And so you'll note here for the fall 2017, the deadline's coming up as of July 1st. Spring of 2018 is November 1st, and summer of 2018 is April 1st. And an international student deadline January 1st. Some of the requirements that we do, that the graduate school will make sure that students have, you know, a completed application. This is all done through an online portal that is found on the graduate school's website. Official copies from transcripts from all universities intended. 3 letters of recommendation, copy of your resume, GMAT or GRE score. And then what will happen is once we receive the student's application from the graduate school, they turn it over to us and ready for review mode, and then we kind of take it from there. And so if selected, we will call you in and ask you to join us for an interview, which is a 30-minute panel interview with our graduate interview committee. And that can be done either via in-person or via Skype. And then you usually will hear a decision within a couple weeks after that. So that's a little bit about what is required as far as the application. So just some graduate program highlights that I did want to call out. You know, we are AACSB accredited, which is a phenomenal, you know, highlight that we definitely like to capitalize on. You can see some of these other accomplishments that we are very proud of. We do offer certification opportunities. So as I mentioned earlier, anybody who pursues the MS in Applied Data Analytics would also get a business analytics certificate saying that they're certified in business analytics, as well as a SAS certificate saying that they're certified in SAS software. You know, you'll do a lot of work in programs like SAS, Tableau, or Google Analytics. And so having some of these certifications will be really nice. And then should you might decide to pursue the supply chain or maybe interdisciplinary analytics concentration, there's a course that you would have the opportunity to take called Lean Six Sigma, and that's taught by our director of supply chain, who is double black belt in supply chain. And so he offers the opportunity for all of our students at the end of his course to get green belt certified in Six Sigma, which is phenomenal for your exposure, your experience, your resume. It's a great opportunity. The other nice thing is we do have a working professional environment. So the nice thing about our program is we have a good combination of students who might have just started their path from undergrad to graduate, and then those who have working professional experience, who have been in you know, a professional environment for years, and maybe they've decided to come back and get their master's degree. So you know, you will be studying alongside peers with that career experience, and so you'll learn a lot from them in the classroom as well. And then there are graduate assistantship and scholarship opportunities. This is something that we always encourage students to apply for. Students have to apply for these on a semester by semester basis. They are more limited in the summer as funding is more limited, but we certainly encourage students to apply for these graduate assistantships. They'll be, if you're awarded an assistantship, upon admission to the program, they would be 10 hours a week, paid at $15 an hour. And then scholarships, of course, you have general scholarships that you would apply for. The way that would work is once a student is accepted to the program, they would get an acceptance letter from me, and it would give them information with a link to where they could go onto our website and apply for those and submit an essay. And so we certainly encourage students to take advantage of that as well. So, in kind of jumping a little bit to, the MS in Applied Data Analytics. So this program is going to be phenomenal. It's going to give you fantastic work working with data in the actual business context. One of the components in this program of study is a 6-hour applied analytics project, CIS 5860. And the phenomenal thing about this program is this class, it gives you the opportunity to work with a local organization, and they'll give you real world data to work with. And so you do a real world project for them. They become your clients, you present to them at the end. It is like real world work experience, and it's usually done, if you pursue the MS degree, it's usually done in your second and last semester, as it's a 6-hour class instead of a 3-hour class. But you would have, your own instructor of record for this class, and they would, make sure that you have your syllabi lined up, but you'd have client meetings. It would be a really great opportunity to get that exposure. And employers really love to hear what you did in that. And it really helps when you go to get that big job or maybe a career change, whatever you might be pursuing, to have that exposure under your belt. So a really neat thing there. And so we just want to make sure that, we try to incorporate those things into our program. And so you'll get, like you'll see here, you'll get a really strong blend of that business knowledge, the analytical skills, as well as you get some professional development. So just kind of talking a little bit about what the program entails. So you will have a very strong understanding of statistics, data management, predictive modeling, visualization, security, privacy, and ethical issues. It is a 36-hour program, so it will be your 27 hours of core class. So your statistics, your fundamentals of business analytics, web analytics, data management, security, privacy, and ethical issues, and so forth. And then you would take 9 hours of concentration electives. And so those electives would be driven by whatever concentration that you would select. And so we have 3 that a student can choose from. We have supply chain analytics, sustainability analytics, and interdisciplinary analytics. And of course, in a lot of these classes, you would be working with some of the tools I mentioned earlier, SAS, R, Tableau, Excel, and others. And so we're really excited about, the faculty are phenomenal in this program, and I think the students are really going to benefit tremendously from it. So this is just to give you an example of, for instance, a student that maybe joined us this summer. This is a schedule that they would follow. So like I said, you would work with our academic advisor, and she would plan this schedule out entirely because we know what classes are offered in certain semesters. And so we would just want to make sure that you were able to get the class that you need in the correct semester. So this just kind of gives you an idea of, what each student would take. And so we certainly, you can just kind of get an idea here, but we do try to put you in courses that would help you be successful and really get the foundation and the knowledge that you need in applied data analytics. So as I mentioned earlier, the Statistical Analysis System Certificate, this is a fantastic certificate. SAS is growing tremendously. I get calls regularly from employers who say, we want students who, have experience in SAS. And so we're really trying to give really good foundational coursework in this. And so you'll take 9 credit hours taught, 9 or more at least, taught using SAS software. And then upon graduation, you'll receive a SAS certificate from us. And then as well as the graduate certificate in business analytics. And just to go a little bit more into the business analytics certificate, like I said, it's a 15-hour certificate program. The nice thing about this program is you do not have to have the GRE or GMAT to apply, whereas the MS and Applied Data Analytics program you do. And if for some reason down the road you might start the analytics certificate and decide, okay, I really think I want to pursue this a little bit more and pursue the MS, you can transfer all 15 of those hours to the MS in Applied Data Analytics. So that was recently approved by our grad school, which is phenomenal. And as mentioned earlier, there's also the Greenbelt certification too. So just some really neat opportunities of certificates as well. So real world application, this is just some examples of what some of the projects that our students have done in the past, but there really are just some neat opportunities for analytic projects and real world work experience and so forth. One of the other things that I did want to mention is executive skills. So this is a 0-hour credit class, and it's required 3 times while the student is in the program. And it's a class to help you develop your soft skills when being in the business world. So you'll work resume building, mock interviews, how to deal with conflict management in the workplace. We do a phenomenal dining etiquette seminar. A lot of team building, LinkedIn, leadership certification. We have a great BB&T leadership certification class that we offer both in fall and spring. Something that would cost you, if you were to do this on your own, $7,000, and they come in and do this for free for our students. So we want to make sure we give you those effective leadership abilities and skills that you'll need when being in the business world. And so there's 3 sections of this class. So it's 101, 102, and 103, and they build off of each other. So it's a great opportunity. Mr. Ken White teaches that class, and he does a phenomenal job of working with our students, talking to you about your goals, and really helping you gain that experience and exposure that you might need. And so we do also encourage our students to have fun. We have a club. It's called Executive Impact. And this is a phenomenal opportunity. We encourage you to get plugged in. It's open to all of our graduate students, our MBA, MS, and Applied Data Analytics, as well as accounting. But they do a phenomenal job of, creating networking opportunities for our students. They bring in guest speakers on a monthly basis. They do community service projects. They just adopted a street, so they do a street cleanup a couple times a year. They have a great fundraiser where they're raising money for, local charity. Just this past semester, they raised about close to $750 for the Watauga Humane Society here. We have some sports. They try to do some business visits too. So just last year, they went to Lowe's Corporation down in Mooresville, the Target Distribution Center down in Newton, and then recently they just got back from Charleston where they went and visited Boeing, which is almost nearly impossible to get into, but thankfully we had the opportunity and we were able to get in, and they took a tour, so pretty amazing. So just some great opportunities there. At this point, that kind of concludes my presentation. I just wanted to give you kind of a snapshot of what all our program offers. I would be glad to take any questions now at this point, and certainly welcome any feedback. Like I said, if you have a question, feel free to I'm going to just stop sharing, but feel free to take your chat box, and if you have a question, I will certainly be glad to address it now at this time. And it might work better just to unmute as well. Let's see. I'm just going to unmute. So if you have a question, Does anybody have any questions? Please make sure that you're, I've unmuted everybody, so please make sure that you've gone in and manually muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, are any of these classes offered online? Or is it all in classroom settings?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, these classes are not offered online. These are all going to be face-to-face. At this point, there might be a class or two that might be hybrid throughout the program of study, but at this point, it's going to be all face-to-face here on campus.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, do you guys require a study abroad?
We do not. Now, you might be thinking of our MBA program. Our MBA program, students, we have an MBA program and students can concentrate in business analytics, which is includes 9 hours of coursework in analytics instead of a full 36, like MS in analytics. Now, in the MBA program, that does require a international experience, but that's not part of the core coursework analytics program.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there a way to get SAS on our own personal computers?
Dr. Benoit, are you aware of that? Let's see. Dr. Benoit, do they allow students to get the SAS on their own personal computers, or do they have to come into the lab to work on it? My feeling, from what I understand, is I believe they put it on all of the labs here in the on all of the labs on campus, and so they allow the students that. But from a licensing standpoint, I don't believe that they would be on their own personal computers. But we can certainly chat offline, and I'll write that down as a follow up and get back to you for sure. Was that Diana?
What? This was Dan.
Dan, okay, Dan. Hey, Dan. Yeah, we'll definitely follow up and get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Does anyone have any other questions that I can address as it relates to the program?
You mentioned you could go into different concentrations.
Yes.
Which of those concentrations would best fit in the healthcare world? Or would any of them?
In the healthcare, is that what you're saying? Well, I mean, it really depends on kind of what you want to do within healthcare. So to give you an idea of some of the classes that you would take, from a supply chain concentration perspective, if you were to do the supply chain analytics, you might take classes such, like I mentioned, Six Sigma, analytical models for supply chain, operations in supply chain, and so forth. So those are going to be pretty heavy statistics related. So if you feel like you might use a lot of statistical analysis within what you might do in the healthcare industry, that might be a really good one. Sustainability, some of the classes that you might take there would be sustainable business for a global economy, sustainable performance assessment. I'm not sure if those might necessarily correlate to healthcare as much. And then interdisciplinary, of course, would be kind of 9 hours of anything. So maybe you have an interest in taking maybe one supply chain analytics elective class, one sustainability analytics elective class, or so forth. So that might be, that's where that would fall in. So kind of talking through this, I probably think be either interdisciplinary or supply chain might be best for you.
Thank you.
Or what other questions can I address?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, on this slide, it mentioned that you needed 3 letters of recommendation. Do those all need to come from professors or employers? Is there a combination? What do you recommend?
That's a great question. So typically when I talk to students about letters of recommendation, I usually encourage them to kind of do a variety of folks who can speak to your work ethic, your leadership, characteristics. So let me give you an example. When I applied to the graduate programs here in the College of Business, I did one professor, I did my volleyball coach, and I did my supervisor at a local restaurant. So 3 people who aren't necessarily connected, but they can all speak to my work ethic, my leadership characteristics, my personality, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Welcome. What other questions can I address? Does anybody have any other questions about analytics, the certificate, anything like that, the concentrations? I'd be glad to address.
One more question.
Yeah, sure.
Just to verify, for the business analytics certificate, did you say you didn't need a GRE or GMAT score for that?
That's correct. So with the business analytics certificate, because it is what it sounds like, it's a graduate certificate in business analytics. So it's just 15 hours of coursework. And with that, that just requires, a complete application, copy of your resume, no GMAT or GRE is required for that. And so you would just submit your application through the graduate school's website for that as well. And the nice thing about that, maybe should you decide down the road, the graduate school recently approved, students could count those classes toward MS.
Thank you.
Sure. What other questions does anybody have? So Miriam just asked a really good question as far as GRE or GMAT. Do we have a specific score that can guarantee an admission? So Miriam, at this point, we don't. When the admissions committee is reviewing an applicant, they'll look at multiple things. They'll look at your GPA. We do require a 3.0 or higher. They'll look at your GMAT score. They'll look at your resume, your work experience, and so forth. So, we don't have a specific score that can guarantee admission. The graduate school does require students to be within the 25th percentile. So that kind of gives you somewhat of a baseline. And that's to be considered for admission. What other questions does everyone have?
For the 3.0 GPA requirement, is that the combined average between your score and your GPA, or is that straight GPA?
So the GPA is a cumulative 3.0. So whenever you would apply, whenever you would send your official transcripts in, that would, whenever your official transcripts get uploaded to your application, it would also upload your cumulative GPA.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I did receive a question from Kelly. Does the grad certificate still require business prerequisites? And yes, that is correct. So for either the MS in Applied Data Analytics or the Business Analytics certificate, we do require economics and statistics. So for either one, and like I said, I'll send a follow-up email out to everyone after this meeting, and everyone is certainly encouraged to email me back a copy of your resume and unofficial transcript. I personally don't need anything official. This is just for my review. Unofficial is fine. And I'll do a transcript review and send you back a letter identifying what, if any, prerequisites you might need for the program. And you'll have two options. You can either, one, take an undergraduate level version of the class. So maybe maybe you weren't a business major, and so statistics you never really had in your undergraduate coursework. So taking a business statistics class where you're working in Excel and have that face-to-face interaction with professor might benefit you more than doing more of a self-paced online module, and that's completely fine. You just want to make a B- or higher in that. Should you decide to maybe do a online prerequisite testing module, that is $150 per test per course. And the way that works is you would pay, our graduate programs administrator, Donald Lindenberry, $150 and say this is for statistics, for example. Once you pay, you would get an email from Ivy Software. That's the third-party software company that we use. And that would contain all the study materials that you need for that prerequisite. They have chapter quizzes, tutorials along the way. You have to complete all of the chapter quizzes. And then once you've gone through all of the material, which they estimate takes about 20 to 30 hours per prerequisite, then you would complete a recorded exam. And so you have to make a 75% or higher on that exam in order to complete that prerequisite. And so the nice thing about that too, we don't just throw you to the wolves with that. We do, the cost of that $150 does include a prerequisite tutor. His name is Tim Walker, and if I've been in touch with you on prerequisites before, then you've seen him copied on your emails. But he does a phenomenal job at working with our students, so that if you are reviewing the material and you have questions along the way, he will certainly work with you and tutor you through it, help you with understanding the information and so forth. And so that's kind of how that works. Ashton just asked a great question. Will you email out the presentation? Sure, I would be glad to. I'd be glad to send this out following our meeting to everyone, and then also ask for those two things, your resume and transcripts.
About the prerequisites, I majored in economics, but can I still take like the statistics or economics course as like a refresher through the software if it's not required?
Yeah, absolutely. And students are certainly encouraged to do that if they just kind of want, because we sometimes will have students that have been out of school for a while and kind of like you, they want that refresher. And so we can certainly set you up to pay for those modules and get them if that's something that you need.
Thank you.
Sure. Who else has questions? Does anybody else have anything that I can address? I'm happy to if you do. Well, great. As far as kind of next steps, if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me directly at Kirby, K-O, that's Kirbyko, at appstate.edu. And my phone number is 828-262-2092. Again, that's 828-262-2092. And I would be glad to answer any additional questions that you have. We just had one coming through. Do you still, from Miriam, do you still want those already working on their prereqs to still submit their resume and transcript for review? No, Miriam, in your case, I think we're fine. I think we're good. Thank you, though. We've already worked on your application packet. Like I said, feel free to email, reach out, call if you're in Boone or the College of Business. We can set up an appointment. We can set up a phone appointment, a Zoom appointment, or an in-person appointment, and we can certainly talk more about your interest in the program. If you're interested in fall, make sure to get your application in by July 1st, 2017. That's a hard date, so that's everything in. And definitely let me know if you're applying too, because I like to keep an eye out for all of the applications that are coming in. Well, great. Well, if there's no further questions, this concludes our presentation. And like I said, don't hesitate to reach out if you think of anything else. Thank you all again so much for your participation, and we hope you enjoyed this. We hope this was fulfilling, and we hope you have a great rest of the day. Take care. Bye-bye.